pass. Wilton makes a run ahead of him. Bergkamp suddenly changed pace through the centre. It's Bergkamp! That's magnificent! The move, and then this, which left Dabi's ass totally stranded.
Hello, and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. It is a voice you may have not heard for a while, or if you're new to us, never heard in the space of maybe 3 or 4 months. It's been a while. It is Britain's at most second most hated ginger. I can't take my crown anymore. Somehow, some other person has taken it. If you live under a rock and not sure who it is, just look at Piers Morgan's timeline. That'll give you enough. I'm back, and I've got a couple of people to introduce. First, it's P.I. Sweetman to my left. He's sporting a good moustache, and I think he's never left the job. He always moans about the force now, and that is Danny. Danny, how are you?
I remember when you grew a moustache, and the jealousy was you could taste it in the halls of ABW, and sometimes it was quite discriminative, and I didn't like it. I went along with it just so I didn't feel left out, and now I'm getting that hatred myself, even from my own offspring. And it's to be frank, it's sickening. People's inability to embrace the moustache. But it's I'm good. I've got Doritos have brought out 2 new flavors, both pizza based. So I've got 1 bag of each here, and I'm looking at them and dribbling into my lap just a thought of extra cheesy Doritos. Ooh. And how are you?
I'm good. I'm not sure what football is really, because I've not really
any of us
not really been for a while.
You got some heat on the show recently, didn't you? Because you call yourself a bloody Brighton fan, and you got a Brighton season ticket holder. So you are a Brighton season ticket holder, and you couldn't be bothered to even go to Brighton v Arsenal.
I was busy. I blame.
Well, you weren't celebrating bloody Christmas, were you?
I was not celebrating Christmas. Celebrating New Year's Eve. That's a very different event. But yes, I was elsewhere, and I'd sold my ticket to probably another Arsenal home fan, because from what I heard, the home end was littered with us of Arsenal fans getting kicked out after Saka's goal. But I'm sure I can give a rundown, but it won't be from pitch side. But don't worry, I'll be there calling Mo Salah a cunt on Saturday.
Oh, at least you've left it outside the original, the 30 seconds that YouTube might demonetize us of the whole about 50p we'll get for this show.
Well, people, if you're outside of the UK, you're within the Brexit arena, you can always donate some money to us, so YouTube doesn't defund us or demonetize us because I used the C word for Mo Salah. Anyway, I think we've rambled on 3.5 minutes yet without having introduced the third person here who looks very lonely at the bottom. Nick, how are you?
All right, Josh, so what were you doing New Year's that you couldn't be bothered to go to football then?
I was 50 miles away from the grounds in Portsmouth, going out for dinner. And I couldn't be at the game and then get to Portsmouth for my dinner reservation in time. So I just didn't go, and I sold my ticket to someone else. But I always find it's weird being in the home end for an Arsenal away game. It just doesn't sit right with me. I've done it 5 times now, and it's always weird. The worst one was Blackpool, mainly because I was in Blackpool. But
did you go to meet Charlie Patino?
I didn't. Charlie Patino, I think, was still an embryo. That was about 4 years ago. I did see Joe Willock score twice, though, when he was wearing the 69 shirt, which is
saucy.
I know, right? But what do we... I should say hello to the chat box as well. I've completely forgotten how to do this. I've not even been on Highbury Squad. I'm well out of my
They want us back.
Well out of my comfort zone. They do want us back.
If Chris gets over his Ebola, then they
oh
want
yes,
you, me and
sorry.
Chris over there.
We should talk about the elephant in the room, or say a very, very small elephant, borrower in the corner. We call him. Chris has unfortunately got
everything.
I think it's Premier League-itis. He currently has got a virus where specifically he can't talk about Premier League or Arsenal Football Club. He is luckily well enough to muddle through a French football podcast. That's fine. All 2 of their listeners are probably over it.
You're lucky you won't hear this.
Oh yeah, that's fine. It's like everything you said about me last week. I haven't heard it either. I think that's all we do. We just say rude things about each other and no one hears it. But I see we've got Jim Eves. He was the first one in there. I don't know Jim. Hello, Jim. I'm Josh. We've got someone called Nick Wilson. Don't know who that is. Avon. Evening, Avon. I will give you a rundown of the Brighton game. I wasn't there. It was very cold and windy and wet in Brighton, though. I can tell you that, like it always is. Stefan is there. He says hello. Hello, Stefan. Granit Xhaka's a cunt. That's for Stefan particularly. I will get this demonetized. I'm coming back with a bang. Rich is there. Cactus Cash. I think he's just back from training. Paul Nell is there as well. Hello, Paul. I've missed you from the hybrid squad as well. I think he is a squaddy. I think as is a couple of people in the chat box. And someone called Stream Elements. Don't know who they are. How do we start? What do we start? What are we talking about, Danny? You had a running order of 3 things. One of them I've forgotten already. Do we go far back as Newcastle, or are we going even further back?
Oh, I think Newcastle, Oxford transfers, and then maybe talk about. I'm going to try and get some pictures of the stadium and see what it's.
Sorry, Paul. It's the font we've got. Yeah, we got the font.
Start messing with us now.
Yeah, I see you there with your capital I in the middle of your surname.
That's what he's done.
I don't know. Thunder Road is there. Hello, Thunder. How are you? Give you a wave. You can give us a thumbs up. I think that's how YouTube still works. You can subscribe if this is the first time you've ever landed here. Do give us a subscribe. You could hit the bell notification. It's really useful when Danny says we're going to do a podcast at 8 o'clock and then we don't start till 8:15. It's really great for that. Letting you know what could go on. Mr. Waffles is there. Cactus Cash is telling us about Southampton. Boo, Southampton, because Portsmouth. I'm losing my trail of thought, Danny.
Good.
Cool. Newcastle? We're going to talk about Newcastle. Excellent. Yes. Nick, I don't think there's much to talk about Newcastle in terms of quality football that was on show from the visiting team. But should we talk about the 2 penalty incidences? The 2 penalty shouts. What did you think of the first one there? So I think the first one was the shirt pull on Gabriel by Dan Burn, 6'7", you know. What did you think about that?
Well, as shirt pulls go, that was pretty blatant. I mean, he near enough pulled the whole shirt off. It kind of reminded me. Do you ever see that Happy Gilmore where he walked up to the guy and pulled his shirt off over the top and just punched him out? That kind of reminded me of that. It was just so blatant and obvious, and I just can't understand why VAR didn't even look at it or didn't get involved. Because, I mean, I've always said for years, I'll always give the referee the benefit of the doubt, even though most of them are cheating twats, but they can't see everything on the pitch at all times. So that's what VAR is there for what they don't see. And, you know, they don't tell us that you can hear, you know, they're talking to everyone. Even the commentators can hear what VAR are saying to each other, you know, the refs and VAR, but we're not allowed to hear what they say. Why is that, Josh? Why are we not allowed to hear?
Well, you know what they're going to be doing is halfway through, you'll get Mike Dean's Domino's order. That's not what we want to hear. I'm sure he gets a Hawaiian, but with no ham, just a pineapple pizza. That's what I imagine he gets.
And you get Uriah Rennie advertising ninja classes.
That'll be what it is.
Still got the access codes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
which ex-referee is going to be running mini cabs? It's going to be
Mark Halsey.
who's that one that everybody hated? He went on Talk Sport for a while.
Hackett.
I don't know. No, not that. It was an arsehole. Can't remember his name. Dark
I
hair.
mean, that narrows it down.
Yeah, that probably 8%
narrows it down. Sorry, we're looking for the arsehole referee. Oh,
is it Jeff Winter?
Oh, Jeff Winter. Yeah, he was a referee.
Possibly.
Yeah,
I found the artwork for the that they're apparently doing, or I found some of it.
Oh yeah, there's the one where all of our 13 faces of ABW are on the side, right? That's one of them.
That's one of the best.
I think that's the best one.
We should talk about these later when I go and find more.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm going to get mugged off and put one up that isn't actually part of the stadium, but I'll carry on.
I think if any of them have got the number 69 in them or a pingus, then not going up on the side of the stadium. Should rule out a few of them. I think if there's any of a naked Sol Campbell, that is also not going up on the side of the stadium. However, there is one side they've not revealed yet. It is a mystery. And it could be Sol Campbell finally being recognised as... probably rightly so. He went on a bit of a rant about how he's not been recognised in any honours lists, shall we say? But that is a hell of a move from Dan Burns' penalty shout to Sol Campbell getting irate. But yeah, I think, for me, Nick, I kind of agree that one to me, if the referee gives it, it's not overturned by VAR. And I'm sure when we get to the talk about the second one, the handball, what did you reckon to that one as well, Nick? Because I don't think that's a penalty. It's probably controversial.
No, I don't think it was, and it shouldn't be a penalty. But over the last, 5 years since they've just completely messed up the handball rule with loads of different interpretations and laws and shirt lengths and stuff like that, we've seen a lot less than that given as handball. I mean, I remember one when it really kicked off, that was a Spurs player, so I thought it was still funny, where it hit him on the back of the arm after he jumped up for a header from 2 feet, and you're like, nah. And that was just that spell when, remember at the start of the season where they're going to clamp down or start on something, and they were given a penalty for every bit of contact with the arm given for about 2 months. Then they stopped, but that shouldn't be a handball at all because it's just too close to him. He couldn't get out of the way. I mean, that's what it always used to be. We used to say it's either handball or ball to hand. Why would it be ball to hand? Because it's not deliberate and it was too close to him. That's the only thing we need, the only thing with handballs everyone understood. If it's too close, and he couldn't move his arm out of the way, it's not handball. But now, who knows half the time?
Yeah, now it's about shadows and various, silhouettes of men. It's all very, very odd in terms of
the length of the sleeve. The length of the sleeve is apparently very important. So I'm expecting, to get some Carpenter shirtless shirts for next season. So then we can never get given a penalty against us.
That would be very Cameroon 94 for their sleeveless kits.
Oh, and they look like wife beaters t-shirts, sleeves.
Yeah, those ones.
Great days.
It was a lovely days where shirts were mental. Anyway, I think again it's the other one that if VAR wouldn't intervene on that one, but again if the ref gives it, VAR goes, I'm not going to step in. Personally, I think we need to have a look at that line of, it's VAR's only stepping in if there's a clear and obvious error. I think sometimes it's just a case of, we don't think it's a clear or obvious error, but take a look at it. Get a second angle.
But can you remember the penalty the ref actually gave incorrectly, the West Ham one, where the bloke, it was quite close to him, where he sort of waved his arm up and then it smacked him square in the face and he gave a penalty. And it was just before half time. And that's right. That's what VAR is there for, clear and obvious errors. He thought that hit him in the arm or the hand and it hit him in the face. I mean, arms and faces do look quite similar. I have to, give the referee the benefit of the doubt of that. But I don't know if you two, I'm just surprised that Newcastle actually played like that. I thought they, over the last couple of years, and where they are in the league, they've actually been playing some decent football. I thought we were going to draw, but I thought that was going to be an entertaining, like a 2-2, both teams going at it. I'm just so surprised they turned up like a Sam Allardyce Newcastle team.
I'll let Danny answer that before I go and say I saw them at Brighton and they played exactly the same way.
I didn't know how they played anywhere else, because I just assumed, like Nick, that they've got some decent players, they've got a decent manager. Bournemouth played half decent football a lot of the time. He's been lauded as the next England manager. With I don't think he's going to be, because he's not boring enough, but they're going to have to see in that game. And I felt actually quite disappointed, because I remember him back to the days in the Kevin Keegan I Love It days. I had visions of that team was magnificent, with Asprilla and Batty and Speed and Andy Cole, and Shearer, and all that lot. And I remember thinking, it's going to be just like that. They're the Newcastle are back, but they're not. They're thugs. It's like that. This podcast is called. He checks his notes on what the past. It's called Newcastle United ... the new Stoke City. And I feel Newcastle. I feel you've let me down. You've let yourselves down. You've let the nation down, and worst of all, you've let Sir Bobby Robson down. Josh,
didn't they have one shot the whole game as well?
Yes, and it was similar to exactly the same performance that they put in at the Amex, where they basically came in, and when this team plays football, we can't play football. I'm Eddie Howe. I don't know how to play football. And if I try and play football against a good side, I get fucking battered. See, Bournemouth. When they tried to stay in the Premier League, played quite good football, got absolutely ruined. And everyone was like, Eddie Howe can't keep a clean sheet. So I think what we're kind of seeing now is this is a team that will more or less defend for 90 minutes, try and catch something on the break. And you can see that with their results, to be honest. If you look at the table, I know they're on 18, played 18 games, third in the league, but there's a hell of a lot of draws in there. They've drawn 8 and they've only won 9 games all season. And that kind of tells you exactly what this team's about. They're not good enough to win games. I think that's probably the thing that they're missing, and why next season we'll probably have to fear them more for a top 4 side if they can strengthen accordingly and control how they're doing in Europe. But otherwise, it's a team that I don't necessarily fear right now with Eddie Howe at the helm. There's other teams that we've played recently that I would fear a lot more than that Newcastle side. The main issue, and it's kind of shown up in our last couple of games, is we're lacking another player who knows how to open the door of a defence, of a very stubborn defence. And I'm sure we'll talk about that for when we come to the transfers. But I think we could segue quite... Okay.
As a Newcastle fan, would either of you be happy going, well, this is what we need to do to make a way up there, rather than going and buying loads of creative players and going taking the Man City route, where a half decent manager maybe wins loads of players and then maybe wins something and then loads of players, but they're doing it the ball. Is it fair to say they're doing it the George Graham way? Defensive ball football to steady the ship?
It's definitely different to Man City, because they started with Mark Hughes as their manager. But then they did move into... Yeah, and then moved into Mancini, I think it was after that. So I think there's definitely... Eddie Howe, I don't think will be the manager that takes them to great things, but he'll lead them towards it, but he won't be the one that makes them drink, almost, to muddle some analogies and metaphors. Danny, you have the most alluring sneeze face.
I forgot to mute myself, and I'm warming my hands.
Fixed by it, and I'm sure everybody else was. Rich just mentioned that Sven. I forgot Sven was there.
And also, was that one with Pellegrino, the one who makes all those cans of fruity drink?
No, Pellegrino was at Southampton. Pellegrini was the one that won the league.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Was
Wasn't
also
he in
at West Ham.
Coronation Street as well?
Oh, I can't say. I don't watch Northern dramas.
No. Bad
just
enough
keep
having
the
to play
Southern
a
ones.
Northern drama.
Exactly. But yeah, I think Newcastle, they'll be interesting ones to watch, but it's not one that I fear, especially as we're pushing for the title. It's a Chelsea problem, I think, Newcastle. Right
They
now,
got the right hump on Twitter, didn't they? Because Carl did a naughty tweet, including the video of Dan Burn pulling down Gabriel. We got 189,000 interactions with that, impressions or whatever it was, on Twitter. So immediately Twitter shut our account and made us say 10 Hail Marys and then walk on broken glass. But Carl was saying that they weren't happy. The Newcastle
they were
fans
not happy with how we kind of described it. I remember speaking to Newcastle fans on the way to the Brighton game, and they were like, Bruno Guimaraes is the best player you've ever seen. I think in that game he was average. He was all right against Arsenal, I thought, but generally a lot of they're in that kind of difficult transition. I think they're doing it in the right way, but it's more of a 10-year plan rather than a 2 or 3 year plan that you see with I think you saw with Man City or Chelsea after their big money takeovers. They're roughly trying to go about it the right way. Although we should say Chelsea just had a new takeover. I wasn't talking about that one, but also that one probably goes the same way in terms of a club that's going a little bit mental. Maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe
Chelsea.
It's one for the questions. Yeah,
hilarious. They've gone full Man United. Oh, there's a world-class player. We'll have him on loan. Yeah, maybe we'll talk about them later.
Yeah, maybe we will. Should we talk about Oxford United, or unless there's something in between? Did I miss another game? We didn't play since then. It's confusing when we play on a Monday and then don't have played on the
I still don't know what day of the week it is because of Christmas.
Yeah, the 4-day week last week is throwing me out. I was convinced it was Wednesday yesterday and Thursday today. Other than that, so I'm really annoyed how late the podcast started. It was over 24 hours after agreed. But yeah, Oxford United last night. What an interesting game. Danny, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Why, when Premier League clubs play lower league sides, they think the best route to breaking them down is to spam a load of crosses in, like they're, I don't know, Hartlepool United, where they've got a big target man. And yeah, lower league central defenders, they don't know how to defend balls into the box. They don't do that week in, week out. What is that?
Well, yeah, you got a good point there, because the whole point of when lower down the league, further down the leagues you go, the less quality. I mean, I'm a Barnet fan and a Peterborough fan, but the lower the quality is, it tends to be more hoofball. The further down you go, more Burnley, Stoke, those kind of teams where it's not the greatest football to watch. So when we go there, we should mesmerise them with tricky, silky skills where they go, "Oh, what is this witchcraft?" But we didn't. I've not rewatched the game because I've got every single game this season apart from the Brighton League Cup one. I've downloaded them and got them on my computer in HD. Now that, boys and girls, is special.
You know, what I would say is also quite special as well is apparently that Brighton League Cup game is the only game this season where Sambi Lokonga's played well.
There's no proof of it though because I couldn't find it.
Exactly.
I've got the highlights of it. Suspicious. Nick, why haven't you got your @ in the in your name? If Chris sees that, he demanded that we put all of our ats in there. You're a bad man. Look at him.
If he's got a problem, he can come and tell me.
He can get the bus up to Norwich and come and have a bang on your door
and shout at your shins how angry he is.
And he can bring a little box stool with him and he can stand on it and shout for your letterbox.
Yeah, I'll say, shouldn't you have gone back to the North Pole yet? Get lost.
Oh dear. Yeah, so it was strange to see because I thought the first half hour it would be just humouring them as they're like a load of kids jacked up on sugar going, we're playing a Premier League team. We're playing on TV for maybe the first and last time in their careers ever because they have gone from the Conference to League 2 to League 1 with that manager. So a lot of these players are not the greatest players that Oxford have ever have. I mean, they know John Aldridge, Ray Houghton, or Peter Rhodes-Brown, who look at him in his Panini thing. My God, that was a moustache to be proud of. And so it was their moment in the sun, and they were meant to bask in it. And I thought that we'd give them half an hour until they run themselves out, get tired, and then it'd be bing, bang, bong, 8-0. It wasn't that way at all. They played really well. They watered the pitch. They were up for a game of football. In fact, they did everything the opposite to what Newcastle did. They may have, I think it was you, Josh, or someone in the group said they only really had one way of playing football, but that's all they had. But when you're playing against a team like Arsenal with surprising number of first-team players unnecessarily played, which is a huge risk, as we saw Saka go down injured later in the game, but he's okay. But I was surprised that it took so long to break them down. It was a horrendous first half.
Yeah, it was pretty awful. I think I lost count on the number of times I shouted at Kieran Tierney to go, "What the fuck are you doing? This isn't Scotland," despite the weather. Nick, second half came around, and pretty early on we made a couple of changes. Zinchenko and Xhaka came on. How did you feel they changed the game?
I think we just had a little bit more fight and control in the midfield with Xhaka, and Zinchenko, he's just, I think, a bit more energy going up and down the flanks. I mean, to be honest, that was a long time ago, like 3 days ago. I've forgotten half of it. I remember seeing the goals. That's about it, really, because like the first half, nothing really happened. The only thing I remember, which I thought was quite funny, was the people standing on top of the van looking over the side so they could watch the game for nothing. That was pretty good.
Well, if that happens again, let me know. I'll bring down the minibus. And obviously, I won't be getting on the roof because I'll go through. But yeah, I've got the Sharan. We can all sit on there. We can have a sing-song, bring a barbecue. Oh, it'll be great days. But that was different. Apparently, they are gonna, if they have the money, they are gonna fill in that third part of the stadium. I think that's very generous of them.
I mean, it was very nice to get someone to park their van so politely behind the goal that a couple of people could stand on top of it, and really brought the spirit of the FA Cup along. But yeah, I did enjoy seeing Saka coming on. We should probably talk about the goals as well. Danny, talk us through the first one.
Who scored the first goal? I've actually got the tab open.
It was the worst goal he's ever scored for Arsenal.
Wait for it, people. He's coming.
Wait for it.
There he is. Oh, beautiful Egyptian legend. And he's the second most famous Egyptian Arsenal fan. The first one is in the chat in a moment. It was wonderful. Not only does he never really score goals, I don't think he's ever knowingly headed the ball in the opposition half of the pitch, let alone like that. But that was a perfect corner from the, before the when we were doing the post-game show. What's his name? Mike from the Gooners pod, his mate who came on, Aston. There you go. Aston said, "Well, I know the change was as soon as Lokonga went off, Xhaka came on, and then Xhaka went, 'Off you go, my pretties, fly, be beautiful.' And then they went. Vieira said, 'Oh, here we go. I don't have to cover this idiot plane behind me. I can just open my wings and fly and be wonderful and do some magic.'" And that corner that he took it wasn't Vieira that took the corner, wasn't it? It's a stunning corner.
Kick.
Yeah. Was it a free kick?
Yeah, it was a free kick.
Oh, okay. Well, free kick.
That's how it was an even better corner, because he managed to play it out from about 30 yards out.
Well, he whipped it in, which is the kind of thing that he was doing at Porto last season. He had the most assists in the Liga NOS. Well, actually, someone told me it's no longer called the Liga NOS. That's the only bit of Portuguese knowledge I ever had, and now it seems to be defunct. And he whipped it in, and I was thinking, well, he's been doing this all game with corners, and it's not really nothing much has come of it. And then no sooner had that thought left my brain than Elneny had gone wallop, header straight in, and then you think, oh, here we go, this could look interesting. And then it turned out that Vieira had a magnificent game, and so did Eddie. So that was the first goal, wasn't it?
It was. And Nick, second goal, Eddie getting off the mark, was his third goal in 4 games.
4.
The second one.
4
That's
and
the
5.
second one, isn't it?
Oh yeah, the second one would have been. Yes.
Second one. So it's 3.
I jumped ahead.
Yeah, come on, Danny. Come on. Just because I've been away, you think I'm a little bit rusty, but no, rusty. I've still got at least a couple of brain cells firing. Yeah, Nick, talk about the first Eddie goal.
I can only remember the second Eddie goal. I'm so professional. Were they both fairly similar? Or was one of them a header or something?
The second one is when he went round the keeper.
Yeah, I remember that one, but I can't remember
second.
I can't remember the. He went round.
No, that was our second. His first. Was it?
No.
Or was it attacking?
No, Martinelli played the assist for his second goal. The other one was assisted by Vieira.
Oh.
But he did go through on the keeper. That's what I remember from it. So it was another Fabio Vieira assist. But yeah,
you could have done any of that against Newcastle if he'd have been given the chance.
I mean, we definitely lacked. We could probably talk back about substitutions. Maybe Vieira was an option, but the question is, who of our three behind Eddie would you have taken off? I'm not going to turn on Martinelli. I think everybody knows how much I love him and how great a player I think he is. But he looks like he's had too much football at the moment. He looks jaded and lost of ideas. You can see why. You can see why we're after a player like Modric, someone who can come out for Marty, give him a bit of a rest, let him go back into, give the time out that I think he needs just to come back in. And I think also we've brought in a new coach as well, haven't we? So we could probably talk about that.
Who's brought in a new coach?
We've got a new coach.
Oh, do tell.
We brought in a one-on-one coach. It's the guy from #.
Is it Anton de Beek?
It is not Anton de Beek.
That would be lovely.
It has been it's a guy from #United. He is apparently occasionally a stand-in for Lionel Messi for adverts. Not from the face department, more of they show, below the waist.
#United. I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
They are a football club that started as kind of like a vlog. Hey, we're non-league, we're just a bunch of mates, and then kind of grew into a proper amateur club. I suppose you can't say proper amateur. That seems like an oxymoron. But yeah, they're a big deal, Danny, for the Utes.
The Utes, are they all drinking that prime drink and getting off their tits on nitrous dioxide? Nitrogen.
I think not. It would be nitrous oxide, wouldn't it? Oh, I don't know. That's the
use nitrous dioxide. Get rid of the little shits. Carbon monoxide cylinders, 2 whole litres for £1. That will sort out the problem with the Utes.
I mean, yeah, you got to go to the Emirates for your prime drinks.
Do they have it there?
Yeah, we're sponsored by Prime. Fuck's sake, Danny.
Fuck me.
I go away for 2 months, 3 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
All year. You haven't been on all year.
I haven't been on all year.
I take absolutely no notice of any Arsenal news. I very rarely tweet about Arsenal. The only things I tweet about are things that annoy me. And at the moment, Arsenal isn't one of them. So I have shunned anything that is Arsenal based. And that's why I regularly have no fucking idea. But it's good. So you're saying that they've hired this one-on-one coach. He does messy stuff. So that means he's raison d'etre, as Anton would say, is tricky skills, silky skills.
Yeah, he knows how to go past a man, and I think that's the thing that Martinelli's lacking at the moment is he's lost that ability to really go past a man other than with straight line speed. We used to remember, Marty would have a bit of the Joga Bonita about him, which he's kind of lost. But Nick, you remember the third Eddie goal, so we could talk about that.
Yeah, I mean it was taken well. I'm pretty sure that was it Matt. Was it Martinelli who played the ball? Yeah. And I remember looking at that and thinking, oh, he's took that well done. Because obviously his confidence was up because he scored the one before that. And I'm still not sure what this whole phone thing hanging on the corner flag is celebrations about. I don't know. I remember Henri done a was up thing about 20 years ago. I don't think it's that, but
isn't that how Gabriel Jesus celebrates? Isn't he like ringing him up, seeing how he is? They both do it.
I don't know. The Brazilians or not.
Yeah, Eddie had done it beforehand, and I'm sure it's about answering the call for goals.
I think he did that a couple of years ago. But Danny, Brazilians are not allowed to celebrate anymore, remember? They were told off for that in the World Cup.
Well, see, another thing that annoys me, why is he doing this, people? Phones aren't like that anymore. it should be like this, holding that up, going, "Hello, hello, can you hear me? Hello, I've got 3 bars. Can you hear?"
Isn't it?
That's
Isn't
what
it now?
should be
Just
doing.
this. It's just this. Just this, and you're
Giant
speaking
thumbs.
into it.
That's all they use on their phones. I still use my pointy finger and do that, but it's thumbs. So he's out of date with the phone unless he's using an old Bakelite number.
That's probably why it's taking him so long to break into the first team and start scoring goals. Because he was on an old landline.
Possibly. I've managed to find the video of when we come to this later, the video that Arsenal have released. Might get us in trouble, but not as much trouble as you dropping C-bombs all the time.
It will definitely get us in trouble. That'll have our video taken down for copyright infringement.
Don't they know who we are?
Well, exactly. That's exactly the problem. They know exactly who we are. I think, so Oxford United, we have breezed past them. How happy are we with the draw that we've got in the next round? Danny, do you know who we've got in the draw?
Oh, actually, I do. I've got a little bit of inside information. We're at Man City, playing Man City. That's the only bit of Arsenal info. I don't read the papers. I have no idea about transfers. Because I don't need. I'm happy. I'm in a calm oasis of love, and I'm off my tits on Arsenal. I don't need any more stuff to get me excited. Not with my age and my rotundness. Yeah, away at Man City. That isn't well. We're going to look at the result tonight of
they're currently losing 2-0 to Southampton.
But they are away. But the team that Man City have got out tonight: Ortega, Cancelo, Walker. Walker's playing centre back. Gomez, Laporte, Gundogan, Phillips, Palmer, Foden, Alvarez, Grealish. Oh, Grealish is getting a game. That's £100 million well spent. I think they're going to take that seriously. I think Pep does like to get out the wooden spoon and give Arteta a spanking as often as possible because he knows Arteta will turn him inside out like he did in. Did we beat them in an FA Cup final? Or was it the Charity Shield we beat them in? Or was it FA Cup semi-final?
We beat FA Cup semi-final and beat Chelsea in the final.
There you go. And we beat Man City in the Charity Shield. That's how the 2 trophies that Arteta has won. Pep's going to be worried because there's a reason why we're 5 points clear of them in the Premier League, and we're playing really good football, and we're playing better football than Man City are playing at the moment because they've decided to put all their beggy eggs into what the Erlen Haaland, that's Norwegian bloke, put in his basket with his dodgy ankle, and I've seen people talk and listened to people talking on the radio, Man City fans saying that's a mistake. They've won back-to-back titles by not having a main striker. And now if he doesn't score, nobody really scores. So if we can make sure that he doesn't score, then we're in with a chance because on our day, which is more often than not, we are exciting and thrilling and unable to stop unless you go full Newcastle United on us. And I doubt very much Man City will do that. They will try and beat us playing proper football. I don't expect us to beat them, though. And I don't want to be in the FA Cup. I don't want to be in the League Cup. I'm not even sure I want to be in the Europa League because this is the only chance we're going to get for the next 30 years to win the league.
You hate having fun, don't you? You hate us winning. You just want to see us be miserable. Miserable.
The number, I look at my fellow podcasters and the numbers they're getting, apart from Tom, who everyone listens to that, everyone's numbers are down. And why are they down? Arsenal fans don't like to hear about good news. That's it. If we were losing every game, we'd be getting 5,000 views per YouTube show like we used to. Now we're barely getting 500 because it's too good.
I don't even get a number in the top now. We don't even get a number. It might be because I'm not logged in correctly into StreamYard, but we don't even get a number in the top to say how many people are viewing. It's probably 6.
Did you 2 hear in the game in the Oxford game where the commentator says we weren't in Europe? And I had to think for a minute. I was like, we are in Europe. I'm sure we're in the Europa League. And then 2 minutes, and then 2 minutes later, oh, of course, what I actually meant was they're skipping this round and they're coming into. No, you didn't. You didn't know what you're talking about.
They're in Egypt.
Yeah, it's because we're not in the fixtures. We're not shown in European fixtures onwards. So it's fine. I'm not worried. We know Sam Matterface doesn't watch football. He's just there to tell us about who's kicking the ball to who.
We have to be nice about him because Talk Radio, which he now works for, he does commentary and then he's got his own Sunday show, a very fine show on Talk Radio. They asked us if we wanted to go on there. But as usual,
did you tell us?
Because I don't read the podcast emails.
Oh.
And we had the BBC have asked us. and there was a couple of other people have asked us to come on their shows. Yeah, I think somebody else should really be in charge of that. I mean, Carl has taken over the Twitter because I'm incapable of doing anything proper, and he's doing a great job.
No, he got our tweets taken down.
Apart from that.
Oh, well. I guess that's why no one saw me for the Brighton game, because we had endless emails. Everybody wanted me to speak about Arsenal and Brighton, but no, Danny didn't read the emails, so that's why I didn't come on.
I only checked my own emails yesterday since the first time since beginning of December. There's just many Uber Eats saying you're our number one customer. We love you.
Damn it.
I'm taking you off track. I'm going to shut up.
Yeah, Demsek wants an update or a synopsis on what's going on. I'm back. Evening squaddy. What else?
Don't you dare start saluting them. Oh no, he's gone full Highbury squad.
I've gone full Carpenter. Well, no. Yeah, what else has happened? We have rambled because I've not been on for ages, so I don't know what I'm doing. Danny's a PI. That's about it. And Nick says hello. Right.
He's had a bowl cut. He did it himself.
He did. It was a strong bowl cut. It was a fringe we could only dream of, Danny. That's
it's a fringe
the best way I
festival.
could describe it. Sorry, Nick. Is it weird being bullied by two people that don't have what you've got?
I haven't seen hair since the 80s.
In a negative way. I haven't seen a fringe since. I mean, yeah. To be fair, at the beginning of the 90s, I didn't have a fringe, and at the end of the 2010s, I don't think I had one either. It's been a hell of a 20, 30 years. Anyway.
Water off of Mudrick's back, mate.
Yeah, water off of Mudrick's back. That's a good one. That'll be the name of a podcast. I can see it already. Mudrick's back.
Do you know Mudrick is Ukrainian for duck, so we should call him the duck.
That's why I said water off of Mudrick's back. The duck's
well done.
back.
Why do I feel that that's an absolute bollocks lie?
Yeah, because I made it up.
Barefaced bollocks. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because I just want to see the media and run with it. Because they will. Because they're lazy, feckless bastards who don't do their own
I'm
research.
a lazy, feckless bastard.
Yeah.
Oh, Nick, you know the first rule of Twitter is don't believe anything Danny tweets,
No.
ever. Even if it says ABW or now live.
Even
bollocks.
I had to put in my bio a while ago, if I don't believe the shit I tweet, then neither should you.
Exactly. Whereas mine, I checked mine today to see what it was. And yeah, mine says red sky at night, shepherd's delight. Oh no, it says blue sky in the morning, shepherd's morning. And then I think
Your one
blue
says
sky.
proud member of Highbury squad.
Oh yeah, it does say proud member of Highbury squad, and I've not been on there all season. It shows how. You know what it even says? It says I'm a proud member of Football Hipsters.
Never
Still waiting.
That was meant to be coming back for the World Cup. That died on its
It was.
arse.
Well, France happened, didn't it? Yeah.
Move on.
Mention the French. Right. What else are we talking about? We have done Oxford. We are very excited. We thought it was a good-ish game.
Well done to Oxford playing the game properly.
Should we talk about Mr. Lokonga? Maybe. And maybe Mr. Tierney. Not the referee, but our left back. Nick, I think we'll start with Sambi. I'll give you three options. Keep, sell, loan.
Probably best to loan him out because I don't think anyone's going to buy him off us anyway. So I think that's probably the only thing. He's not going to play. And if we're going to get someone else in, then probably because I just don't think he's that clever. I mean, the start of last season when everyone was playing bad and we lost 10 in a row, whatever we did, him and Ramsdale were like our two best players. But I think that's because the bar was so low of who was our best player that he managed to actually look good when everyone else was probably in the worst start. Well, I think it was the worst start on Arsenal for 50, 60 years, something like that. So he looks good in the worst start of Arsenal's last 60 something years. So, I mean, has he been moaning in the papers? Because people keep bringing up that Amazon thing where he was moaning and Eddie told him to basically sit down, shut up, and wait for you, wait to get a chance. But has he been like moaning in the papers like Guendouzi did and things like that, or did I imagine that?
Nobody is a Guendouzi weapons grade twat. No one is that at level.
Well, I heard today he's coming back to Villa apparently.
Yeah, him and old Slick Emery can be a marriage made in heaven. I can't be bothered with what's coming back, but yeah, I don't think I've seen Sambi moan too much. But yeah, Danny, what do you reckon? So the Lokonga shaped hole.
We were talking about this, and I've mentioned probably about 3 months ago. I was saying how well Vincent Kompany is doing. If you listen to the post game show, then I'm very sorry, but I said that Vincent Kompany is doing really good at Burnley. Burnley are no longer Burnley. Burnley are playing the beautiful game, and they're an absolute joy to watch. And he's got rid of all the Luddites on there, and they're playing wonderful football. And it would be perfect for him. He needs to go somewhere because when he was playing for Anderlecht, I think he was captain. Vincent Kompany was at the club. I think he'd stepped down as manager because it was a little bit too much for him. And so he was there and he was playing brilliantly. And it's much like playing in France and playing in Belgium and in Holland and places like that. We see like Godi Kapka. I've completely forgotten. Gakpo, that's it. And we've seen that from so many other players that when they're in their little pond of a league, they're magnificent. And when you're in a little pond league and you're in a big team in that league, it's so much easier to shine and be brilliant. He needs to go somewhere where he can shine and be brilliant again, because there was a reason why we pay 23 million for him or 18 million or something like that. Yeah. So he needs to go somewhere where they can build him back up again. Because as a young man, he's been at the club for 2 seasons now. He's started one game apart from this one, and I think he was pretty good, which I think was the Brighton game in the League Cup. But he's not getting I looked at the transfer market thing, and it said out of the last 9 Premier League games, he's been on the bench 8 times and an unused sub 8 times. And so, as a young man, that's not doing you any favours. And he needs to go somewhere and play football, express himself, and be him, be the boy he always wanted to be. And Burnley would be the ideal opportunity for that. It's a slower game of football down there, a little bit more rough and tumble, as you know, Josh. And it might make them make a man of him, or it will break him. But either way, it's not working out for him. It's not working out for Tavares. And that is worrying, because that's probably 50 million pounds. What is it? About 40 million pounds worth of talent that we've taken a gamble on. But again, we bought them young. And so Arteta will get them out the door and hopefully get decent money for him. But he needs a loan somewhere, because Arteta obviously doesn't fancy the current version of Lokonga to play in the first team. And he's never going to oust Partey or Xhaka, is he?
No, I don't think.
No League Cup games.
Without, I think the main thing that I see in Sambi is he lacks at the moment that kind of speed or intensity is probably the right word. That you'd expect from a player that was playing in Xhaka's position. And I think when he plays in the number 6, where Partey would be, he's a lot better, but you can't play him and an Elneny together. I think that's the main issue, is him and Elneny are too... their intensity doesn't help. I think if you take off Mo instead of Sambi against Oxford United to bring Xhaka on, you get the same result. We still win that game 3-0. Or maybe score more. But yeah, I think there's that problem if we're not sure exactly where his best position is, and I don't think he really knows either. But I do see that there's that kind of lack of intensity in his game, particularly last night. I would like to think, what were we going to say as well about Kieran Tierney? To be sure.
Don't do that.
I can't
That'll
do that.
be in my head now.
Oh, you gone. Yeah, Danny, how do you feel about Tierney as well? Do you think we're going to see him beyond the summer? Obviously, we're in January. I don't expect him to go. Well,
again, on the post-game show, I said that we can't. He's a £40 million player. partly because having an attacking left back like him, who's a Scotland international, a really decent player, our best player for 18 months, you can't have a player like that as backup. But then someone pointed out, but Zinchenko's always injured. So, and then either it's always one or the other is injured.
So Tierney.
Yeah, so that's it. So you got one or the other injured. But I think we need to keep him because when things start getting a little bit more hectic, when we're playing in Europa League, so we're playing Sunday, Thursday, we're going to need him. And because I think we've seen that Zinchenko isn't going to be able to play 60 games a season or however many games there will be for the second half of the season, 30 consecutive games. He's not going to be able to do that, so we need him. But he doesn't do the same job, does he? I mean, I now never shut up about the inverted winger since Josh explained to me what an inverted winger does. But it's I don't think Tierney does that as well. Nick, would you keep him?
Well, if Zinchenko hadn't been injured, 3 or 4 separate times this season, then I think he'd be looking or putting on his parts to move now. But I mean, we might have to because, especially you say like he's a £40 million player. Who do you think's going to pay that for him?
Newcastle immediately.
Oh,
they were in for him last summer.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I mean, I was
Yeah.
thinking like if someone like Real Madrid or something, because he looks that type of player. But yeah, if they did spend 40 or 50 million, and we could spend 10 of that on a backup left back, and then spend that 40 million elsewhere improving the squad. And obviously, if he wants to leave because he doesn't want to fight for his place, then we'll just do it. But yeah, it's just weird because he's just injury prone, and we've signed another player who seems to be injury prone as well.
Yeah, I think the main thing is it's about Tomiyasu and how he's come back from his injury because that's our left back cover.
Could be.
Because he's played more times there, I think, than there were times during the season we've already seen where Zinchenko's come off, and rather than Tierney coming off the bench, Tomiyasu has been the one to come in ahead. Especially now that Ben White seems to have locked up that right back position, and I think that's where it gives us the options.
Are you surprised at that, Josh? Ben White doing what he's doing? Because
no, that's exactly.
I didn't know he could play right back.
Well, he's not playing right back. That's the thing.
Where was he playing then?
Well, in Brighton, he was playing on the right side of a back three, and that is basically what he's doing for Arsenal as well.
Yeah, because he's not getting forward as much, is he?
He gets forward when he's given license to, which is exactly the same as what he was doing at Brighton. But where he kind of sits, if we're in possession, can also be that he'll sit back in that back three, and that's the main thing that is why we brought him in. And I was convinced as soon as we signed him that he was never going to be a centre back for us. I remember getting absolutely ridiculed. Why are we spending £50 million on a centre back who's not going to play centre back? Yeah. And I said he won't play centre back by his second season. And here we go. I got the position wrong. I will admit that. I thought
so we kind of play 3 at the back with a roaming left back, don't we?
Yeah, that's what we kind of was doing.
Do you think that's why Saka's getting so much crap kicked out of him? Because, you know, Tomiyasu used to get half the amount of kicks as what he did if they were both overlapping and looking after each other. So now Ben White's there. He's not getting as much.
I think Saka's just a better player now this season. So people were, he's got to that stage now where last season he was getting doubled up on and he couldn't do anything. Now he can break through 2 or 3 players. So they now have to foul him. That's the way to stop him. They're trying to get to him earlier. That's what I'm seeing with Saka. I'm not sure if it's about the overlapping because you still see that Saka's given options on the overlap. Ben White will come up, or you'll see Odegaard support him as well over on that side. So there's still opportunities for Saka to play balls off. So it's not that he's like completely isolated now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He's not getting as much help, and obviously, if Ben White's not getting kicked as much because he's a lot further away from him. But
yeah,
it's just a theory.
I think it's more of just he's now getting to that level of am I gonna make this comparison? Yeah, fuck it. Ronaldo and Messi. It's the only way to stop those 2 players. Or it was. Ronaldo is just don't pass to him. It's fine. You can't do anything.
Do you think we're going to have to? I'm not sure how Arsenal can do it. Whether ex-Arsenal through the media have got to bring attention just to like how much he's getting kicked for Arsenal and England. Because obviously back in the day, if Wenger was moaning that his players was getting kicked, they used to just kick us more. And then we just got broken leg after broken leg after broken leg. Well, 3 broken legs. Is there any way we can get him more protection without it just spectacularly backfiring?
Well, I think the only thing is it comes down to what Phil Mack is saying is Saka gets shit kicked out of him because players can't stop him and the refs don't protect him. I think that's the main issue. And Arteta's obviously seen that you don't come out in the press and say we want protection from the refs because you know it doesn't happen. It's kind of got to go through those meetings that we know that players have with the referees. Odegaard mentioned a couple of weeks ago that he wasn't looking forward to it, but all the captains had meetings with the PGMOL. And I think that's part of it is at that point, you just pull one of them aside whilst you're having the kind of after the meeting kind of thing and just saying to him, by the way, you boys need to see what's happened to Saka because he's getting fucked up.
And he's the future of England.
He is the future of England.
And look at how much protection Kane got over the years.
Yeah,
and,
I think
and
that's
Sterling.
Yeah, there's protection definitely that would be in place when he gets that kind of level. Right now, we're just going to see him in that kind of Zaha stage or Grealish stage as well. Grealish still spends a lot of seasons just getting kicked. It's the way he plays football. You know, to ruin Jack Wilshere's career doing it that way.
That's just what I was thinking, Jack Wilshere.
But that one-on-one coach we've brought should help as well because it'll be allow Saka or enable Saka and enable Martinelli that yes, they can get out of those instances where they're surrounded, but also they can be a bit smarter with the ball, make sure they're quicker with their feet to avoid those nasty tackles. So that's the hope anyway. But I'd like to see from them. Right, so we've done Oxford United. We've mentioned that we've got to play Man City. I think I got mentioned about 8 times. Who else have we got to mention? I suppose there's the small thing about our next game. Sunday evening. I mean, there's part of me in my brain that will continue to say Liverpool, but it's not the case. It's a good thing they're on different days, so I can segment it in my brain that I'm going to watch Liverpool on Saturday, and then it's North London derby Sunday night against. Actually, this is my first question: why is it on a Sunday evening?
Because they don't care.
Are the Met just bored? Do they just fancy a punch up or something? They're like, right, we haven't had a good fight in ages. I
thought they deliberately made those Saturday 12 o'clock or Sunday 12 o'clock so they weren't in the pub all day. I thought that was the whole
Friday
point.
night. It was one that, they were exactly. And now we've got 4:30 on a Sunday. Maybe they're just testing the water. And as I say, maybe the Met just fancy a good old round of fisticuffs with some Spurs fans.
That's what time they want to show it in America and places like that.
Even that normally doesn't cause them a problem, but yeah, I guess
the real reason is because I won't get out of bed to do a post-game show if it's on at 12:30. 4:30, I'll be doing it.
So it's Danny's fault. Sorry, everybody.
Because I don't want 12:30 kickoffs.
I was going to say it's Crest of the Dick, but it's definitely not Crest of the Dick now. No. That can't get us demonetized. YouTube, read my lips properly of what I said. I was talking about the former head of the Metropolitan Police, not Danny stroking himself.
No.
I think North London derby. Should we talk about how confident we are? Nick, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in North London derby at the new White Hart Lane?
Well, I'm more confident than I've been in the past, but I mean, we know Harry Kane's going to get his mandatory penalty, because he's been. I mean, that's one of those where they said, I don't know if I saw it on Sky Bet last time that before the game he was odds on to get a penalty. I don't know how that works, but I think has he had a penalty at White Hart Lane for like 5 years in a row, 5-6 years in a row, every home game, which is odd, but yeah. And I mean, are they playing well at the moment, Spurs? Or
they've lost 3 out of their last 4 home Premier League games.
Oh, so that's a no then. So,
they conceded 3, and the one they won, they beat Leeds 4-3. Leeds going to Spurs and scoring 3 goals.
Yeah, I mean, quietly confident. I mean, but then that old cliche that say when there's a derby game, form tends to go out the window, because we've had it a few times where we've been on our arse and we're going to play them, and they've all said Spurs are going to spank us, and we've just put in a worldy performance, was kind of turned our season round quite often. So yeah, probably contradicted myself a little bit there to say I'm confident, but I'm not.
Well, Danny, I think Antonio Conte said this week that he wants to he'll stay at Spurs until he wins the trophy. Where do you think they're going to bury him in White Hart Lane?
He's going to be there until he's 90 and then end up going, I'll just have to give up with this. It's looking at the way football is at the moment and how good we are and how rubbish they are. They all me hear things coming out. We should beat them. If that was any other team that we were going away to that has that kind of record at home in the Premier League, you would go Arsenal to go there and win 3 or 4-1, which is what I'm going for. I'm going for a 3-1. But when it comes to a North London derby, everything is always up in the air. It's always higgledy-piggledy. Anybody can do anything, like Nick was saying. But they really are, 50% of which haven't turned up, and the other 50% has only got one ankle. They've got a manager who I don't think trusts the team, who the fans are going off. I had my mate Lee, the Spurs fan, come round the other day, and we were just talking a little bit about, we don't usually talk about football. He was here for 3.5 hours, and he just asked me my honest opinion of Kane. And I won't repeat it because it would sound like Josh did at the beginning of the show. But he wants Conte out. Most of them want Conte out, and they definitely want the owner out. And the whole is it ENIC that owns them, and Levy is the chairman.
Yeah, it's Joe Lewis that owns them. No, it's English that own them. It's Joe Lewis from the guy that shorted the pound in the 80s and fucked the whole of the UK off, and then now lives in Barbados or Cayman Islands somewhere.
I thought he owned the 49ers or something.
No, it's the English guy.
He just sounds American, Joe Lewis. Sounds like he played for the Mets in the 40s.
No? English owner, but basically got all his money by fucking over England.
Good.
Well, I would say if you've still got any of Steve's messages recorded, just scroll back, and he definitely has a few rants on him. Calls him Joe Bananas.
I found all the data from one of my old phones saved on my computer, and there is thousands of messages from all of you lot being quite potty-mouthed. So we should beat them, but with the North London derby, anything can happen. But it all depends on the referee and how much. Do we know the referee is?
Yes.
Oh dear.
Someone put it in the chat, I think, all the way back. We've got quite a good set of officials in terms of people that don't fuck us up.
Are they? None of them are from North London.
Craig Pawson.
Yeah. Fourth official is Darren England, and Tierney's distant relative, the other Tierney, is on VAR.
Does that give us hope?
They'll still give a penalty to Kane.
Yeah. As that go, we'll be all over them, score a goal, couple of penalty claims. They'll get, we'll get ignored. Kane will score a penalty just before half time. They'll come out, and then we'll turn it on for 10 minutes. We'll be 3-1 up, and then they'll start kicking us.
But which is Xhaka or Gabriel's going to get sent off?
It won't be Xhaka.
No, I don't
put it that way.
The reformed Xhaka.
Wow. Yeah, Xhaka hasn't got a straight red card in ages, it feels.
No, doesn't. He's behaving himself.
I was going to say,
he's never get a little bit angry against Newcastle, wasn't he?
He was a little bit, but he's never been sent off for a second yellow in his Arsenal career.
Oh, well,
his Arsenal career, yeah. But yeah, sorry, Mr. Waffles. I have just jinxed Xhaka, and thank you to Avon for putting through who were the officials. But I think, I know it's not great that Tierney and England were the ref and VAR when they denied Martinelli's opener against United, but they did come back and say that was a problem, didn't they? They said it was an error. So now there should be. Hopefully they're reformed characters, and we shouldn't be completely screwed over by them. But we've always going to be a glass half empty kind of fan base, and Danny's just looking at the numbers, kind of rubbing his rubbing his hands together, mainly because he can't afford to put the heating on because we don't get enough views anymore.
I do. I rang up my electricity company yesterday. I owe them £1,700. I told them to go fuck themselves. He said, "You're not paying any of it." I said, "I'm not paying a penny of it." I said, "And you're not allowed to come and put a smart meter in because I'm all dribbled up and you're not allowed to pick on me." And he went, "Oh," and I read him the bit of legislation and he went, "Okay, I've made a note on your account."
They do love those smart meters. They send me like 5 emails a week and phone calls saying the government said we have to give you one. I said, no, the government said you have to offer me one. No, thanks.
I love the idea of a smart meter. I'd be knee deep in that all day long, switching on and off light bulbs going, that's cost me £0.50 a month to run.
I've got one over there. It's there.
Oh.
Right on the bookshelf.
Is it? Do you enjoy it?
It just tells me how much money I'm not going to have. It is useful. and my rate is cheaper because of it.
I've estimated my electricity a month is, before all this kicked off, it was £85 a month. Now they reckon 200.
Ooh,
so
doing a good job there.
In fact, I keep all the money the government give me because I'm infirmed, and they're giving me about £1,200 so far. That's in my bank, doing nothing, not earning interest. So I'm playing the system, and so far I'm winning.
You're gaining nothing from it.
but I have taken the plates off of the Merc, so they can't check the reg and see who owns it. they come to kick the door down and drag me to a gulag for not paying and sell my car.
Who's going to get you first, Danny? The electricity companies or the TV license people?
I don't have a TV. No.
COVID.
I genuinely don't watch TV. The TV that was on the wall in here, I don't even have a skybox. There's nothing. It's just plugged into the Xbox. And that's it, people. I ain't going down without a fight. Power to the people. That's fun for the dads. Quick, I've taken it offline, Josh. Get us back.
Right. What were we talking about? North London derby.
Yes.
Do you think there'll be any changes in the side that we expect? Nick, do you think Vieira comes in and messes up the lineup, or do you think it's more or less that team that you could run off the back of your hand?
I'd say, yeah, it's pretty much the same, unless someone's injured. I mean, was it Arteta? I think he said Saka's okay, but I wouldn't be against him starting on the bench. You know, to have someone good to... Because if he's not... Well, if he says he's okay, I think he played like 80 games in a row or something now.
I think Femi was on about this. He said it's 67.
Yeah, I was close.
Wow.
But yeah, if... You know, because sometimes Arteta lies and says he's okay and he's not. But I'd rather... If he's only 60, 70% match fit, I'd rather start him on the bench and then bring him on in the second half when everyone else is like a little bit more tired, so you know that wouldn't show up as much. But other than that, yeah, pretty much the same side. I mean, someone put in the chat earlier, would you drop Ramsdale for Turner? And I just said no.
I think that was Demsek.
Yeah,
it was.
What about you, Josh?
I know I wouldn't drop Ramsdale for Turner at the moment. I wouldn't make any changes. I'd start Saka. It depends on who. Actually, no, it doesn't depend. I wonder who they're going to start at left back. It'll either be Emerson with Cheese or Sessegnon, and I don't worry. Neither of them worry me to be stopping Saka. My bigger worry is what Romero will end up doing, or Romeo will end up doing to one of probably Odegaard, maybe Martinelli, because
that's his job.
Yeah, he is, to put it politely, a thug.
As Mickey Flanagan would call him, he's a bastard.
He is a hell of a... You know, when you think about a South American bastard, he's one of them. You just go into there, you go, South American bastard centre-back. It'd just be a picture of Romeo. I think if everybody remembers Cucurella getting his hair pulled in that game, that was Romeo. He was also in the World Cup team as well. I can't remember if he played, but anyway. And I don't think... Oh, Demsek asked a question. Josh, when was the last game in the league did Rambo keep a clean sheet? I don't think it matters. We're winning games. And it's not just Ramsdale that's been at fault for some of our goals. I think it's looking at the defence as well.
What did Saliba have a bit of a howler? What was it? One of the
Saliba
goals?
looks like he's one of the players. I think Martinelli is the other one that hasn't benefited from the World Cup.
No.
They were in form when they went there and they were playing games regularly. They then went away with their country to sit on the bench for 3.5 weeks. And it doesn't look to have done them any good. Saliba's come back and looked a little bit ropey. Deschamps has got into his head.
He doesn't look match fit though, does he? He looks half a yard short.
Big problem is he's been getting team talks from Hugo Lloris, and that's enough to demotivate anybody. Who incidentally has confirmed this week as well. There's been some big retirements. Gareth Bale, Craig McHale-Smith, and Lloris has confirmed he's retired from winning trophies by saying he's no longer going to play for France.
Craig McHale-Smith has retired?
Yeah. Peterborough legend, isn't he?
Huh?
Yeah, Peterborough legend.
Oh, I loved him. He was one of my favourite all-time Peterborough players, right there with Etherington and Davis. Not that Davis.
Oh, no, and not that. Was it that Etherington as well that got sacked after 30 days at Crawley?
Yeah, he took Davis with him as his assistant manager, and they said it just wasn't working out. I think they said, it's me, it's me, it's not you. Get out.
No, yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting club. If anybody wants to know if what happens when Dogecoin billionaires buy a football club, it's going similarly well as Elon Musk running Twitter. That's what I will say. If you don't want to read anything,
all hail the Musk, or not?
Oh yeah. Anyway, so that is covering the North London derby. Danny, did you say? I would say questions, but actually, something really exciting happened earlier, didn't it?
Oh, we
have been naked as a stadium for a few months at the very least. And at 6:00 in the UK, there was an unveiling, but not really an unveiling because it wasn't of the stadium itself, more of a 3D render.
Yeah.
And Danny, I think you have got some of the images that have come out for the new sides of or the new livery. It's going to go on the side of the stadium.
Well, I'll play this, and then I'll pull. What is it? Why is it playing the music? Oh, I don't want to play the music. Oh, there goes our £1.50 we might have got from this. We'll start it again. Try to unmute your mics, but it won't let me.
Bergkamp. And now right, and the crowd rising in expectation.
Sidestepping one, sidestepping two. That is brilliant.
Newcastle, a central figure again, and he looks to trick Schmeichel. And it's in. A goal for Arsenal.
That's enough propaganda.
Yeah.
What do you think, Josh?
I really like it. I really like it. I feel like it was great having legendary players up on the side as we did. But I think what it does now is it shows a wider range about what the club is and what the club's about. It's more than, we always say that the Arsenal is more than a football club. It does great things in the community, and it's not just the men's first team as well. We are still the most successful ladies team, I think.
Yeah, we did the quadruple once.
Yeah. So I think that again needs to be celebrated as much in terms of giving individual players the kind of accolades. of yesteryear. I think we've also still got the bridge that still has the flags out there to really show off. If we want to, if there's any players up there, things like current players, because I think that's one of the things that they've said they're not sure about what current players. They weren't sure if they should put any up there, because there's still time for them to Van Persie it, should we say, or Fabregas it.
Who's back at the club at the moment?
Fabregas is back at the club. He is training.
When you put it in the WhatsApp group, I meant he was playing for Como, he wasn't at Arsenal. I mean, he's allowed to go anywhere he wants to do training, but I think he's still contracted to Como as a player.
Oh, is he? Is Dennis Wise still there?
Director of football, I think it is.
Director of football, yeah. Oh, God, well, poor Como. But yes, I think, I think it's the plan of what's going on. I wonder if they're then going to reveal it. The best way of, I suppose, keeping it under wraps, so to speak, was to not put it up and then do that release. Danny, what did you... Oh, actually, sorry, ask Nick first. Nick, what are your thoughts on it?
I'll mute myself. Yeah, well, there we go. But I liked the older ones, where they're all like arms in arms, sort of follow it around the stadium. But, how long have we been in there? What, 15, 16? Was it 2006 or what's that?
So that's about 14, 15 years. But I'm not sure 15. If they put the murals up when we first got there. I think they waited a few years. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So obviously they've got to try and move with the times, and I suppose that was just getting a bit basic. But I mean, try something. I mean, if they're just painting them up, fair enough. I'm surprised I don't know if any of them are like giant screens that they can just change stuff for every game. That might
that's an idea.
That'd be something, because would you say Saka's gone to Man City? Quick, press delete all those videos, done. It's gone. And I understand, because what were you talking about? That's true.
That's genius.
That's genius. Delete them, quickly.
Control-Alt-Delete on everything Saka. He's gone full Van Persie. Delete, abort.
Exactly. And also, when you think about it, because we were talking earlier about Sol Campbell sort of moaning that he wasn't out and about more. But we know if there's anything Sol Campbell there, at 1 o'clock in the morning, Spurs fans will go there and cover it in paint, aren't they? So I understand why he hasn't had much, especially on the outside of the stadium. Inside of the stadium, I'm pretty sure there's some of pictures of him inside, but on the outside, I don't think there is. But
I'm not sure if Spurs fans would manage to contain themselves carrying a tub of paint to the Emirates without eating it.
They're all on tag anyway, aren't they? They can't go within half a mile of their house. And they're not allowed out after 7 p.m, so it's never going to happen, thankfully. I mean, I'm surprised that over the years, the Emirates hasn't been vandalised, especially the Arsenal bit, the big concrete letters out the front.
I think they have. I think they've had. I think Henry's had some paint chucked over him before the statue. I think that has had some. That was you, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why you don't like him. He's
really a turncoat.
Well, that's the end of his career.
Showed him a glimpse of their knickers, and he was off like a rat up a drain pipe.
Yeah, he was sold when we couldn't afford to keep him. We know now that we had to sell all of those Invincibles to pay for the stadium, and we couldn't afford the wages. We know us all come up. When we knew at the time, we just didn't have the money for it. That's what we done. We spent loads of money to get funding for the new stadium. We got in the new stadium, and then they wanted it all back. Just.
All right, Lord Attenborough, give me a history lesson there.
Sorry. Not sorry. But yeah, I don't mind it. I'd like to see it in the flesh rather than a weird video of it, So what about you, Josh?
I'd say I really like it. As it say, it covers how wide-reaching and how much Arsenal means to everybody across the club. Pink Panther, I think your cousin might need to be sectioned.
Well, looking at Pink Panther's picture, it looks like he's been. I think that's an orange jumpsuit, whoever that person is. Is that a famous American murderer? I'm just guessing, because they look even more fucking deranged than I do when I have my beard and my hair done.
You should know. You arrested him.
He was guilty of all charges, my lord.
Saying that, we completely skirted over. Was that his Smith Rowe's first game back after his injury?
Yes.
which we
It was.
completely ignored. So we
And we
failed.
also didn't
Emile
talk about how
Smith-Rowe.
good Turner was.
Well,
I
we've just
thought
done
Turner
that.
was all right, but it was against Oxford United. That's what
Still
I would
struggling
say.
playing out from the back, though, isn't he? Still a little bit shaky.
I think that whole defence is a little bit shaky when they come together. They're not quite sure of each other. I think it probably partly comes down to we're never really sure. Well, I say it feels like we're a centre back down. It's not necessarily a huge problem, but Holding doesn't have a consistent partner. It's either
Nor do I.
Saliba or I know. And doesn't it make you unstable? Oh God! Someone's going to clip that. It's going to be Mike. Yeah, or Holding. Holding doesn't have a consistent partner. That's basically it. So you're either playing with Saliba or Gabriel. I don't think he's played with Ben White at centre back anyway as a partnership, but it's that kind of combination. They don't necessarily seem to be on the same wavelength as they are when Ramsdale's in. But yeah, I think it's great to have Smith-Rowe back. I don't think he's the quote unquote like a new signing. We still need a new signing, which I think will take us nicely, Danny, to. Do you want to take us to transfer rumours?
Yeah,
Because that's the thing everybody prefers.
I've taken very little notice of it, other than the boy Norton-Cuffy been recalled from loan at Rotherham and then been sent to Coventry, which is a saying in England, which isn't a good saying. It means when people are ignoring you. So hopefully that isn't the case. But he's moved up from League One to the Championship, and I think who is it? Coventry have they've just got a new owner or something like that. I think that's the way it's working, and so that's a good move for him. There you got that bloke, João Felix, who cost my team, Atletico Madrid, about 500 million euros, which has been an absolute disaster of a transfer. I mean, why, when you're a player like that, would you go, I've got all the skills in the world, I'm going to go and play for Simeone at Atletico, where I'm not even allowed to pass the ball anything more than 180 degrees to my left or my right, or backwards, because he doesn't want to do any of that lot. That was just a mental transfer. And so Chelsea have managed to snag him, £6 million, plus they pay all of his wages. So for a 5-month loan is £20 million. Only Chelsea could do something like that. But
especially with the player wants to go back as well. He's going back because Simeone's leaving in the summer.
Is he going?
It's announced. Simeone's leaving in the summer. So, yeah, João Felix can go back and sign a contract extension to 2027 is the word of the street.
I've been an Atletico fan since they won the title and then get relegated, and then their captain went, I will play for €1 a season in the Segunda division because I am the captain. It is my fault we got relegated. And that's what endeared me to Atletico back in the very early 90s, I think. And I think they won the double the same time we did in 98. So that's brilliant that we're going to get. That means it'd be like every other Spanish club. We're going to have a different manager every 6 months, which is brilliant. I'm looking forward to the outrage. But other than the Duck, I don't think there's anyone else we've been really linked to, is there? We don't really.
Aziz came back as well.
Oh, he's gone on loan to
Kolo Touré's mighty Wigan Athletic.
Yes, Kolo Touré.
That's not how it goes. I like how it's going to annoy everybody because that's definitely not how it goes.
I know it's not. I'll tell you after the show. I made my own chant for Kolo Touré, but I can't say it on the air.
Oh,
and
God.
It's, but I could have batted years ago, and he would have liked it.
Is it similar to?
It's not similar to
the Adebayor one.
No, God, no, it's not horrible.
No. Okay.
That Adebayor. I forgot. I was talking to my mate the other day, Sexy Frank, about some of the chants. I told him the ones we used to sing at Spurs fans, and he went, "Oh Lord." I said, yeah, not anymore. But I forgot the Adebayor one. That is horrendous, but in a dark way, it's hilarious. But horrendous. Hilarious. Is there anyone else you've been linked to? Because I haven't seen anything.
I saw someone try to link us to Eden Hazard this week. I think it's because he heard that we've
got, boy.
Yeah, well, I think maybe there was word of us having an all-you-could-eat dinner at some point, and Hazard put his hand up, and Lacazette was quickly in tow as well. Exactly. I think the only other person we have been linked with we were linked to Moises Caicedo at Brighton.
Still
he won't leave.
Tielemans, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm still with Tielemans, and I think Indika, who is at Frankfurt.
Someone mentioned him earlier.
Collins, yeah. Collins mentioned it to us as well a few
Scoop.
months ago. Yeah, old Scoop.
Here we go. Is that said it?
Yes.
Evan Ndika, the French lad who supposedly signed a pre-agreement with us from Frankfurt, sounds an awful lot like a young ball-playing version of Tierney.
Yeah, he's a left-footed centre-back / left-back kind of vibe.
And he's French,
similar.
isn't he?
Oui. See, I have been practicing. Chris's podcasts aren't wasted.
Rubbing off on us. He's only been with us for 6 years.
Yeah, and that's all the French he knows as well.
I'm just looking at. I have a page saved on newsnow.com on the Arsenal one. Arsenal ready to offer 35.5 million for Milinko Savic of Lazio. Lazio lost their first game of the season to Inter recently, which is a lovely thing to see.
I think we just need a big bullshit button, but I think another podcast has already done that.
That's mine. I invented that. Arsenal reported to swoop for £44 million star, probably the same one. Edu could sign Arsenal's perfect Mudryk alternative as £18 million wizard. Arsenal now stuck in limbo as Prem rivals.
Linked to Harry Potter.
I don't know, but this is fan. I normally block all these ones like fan cast football thing because they just make shit up to make you go and look there. This is a bright. Arsenal in race to sign Leandro Trossard.
No, get away. I do.
40 grand a week, 18 million pound transfer. Would he work?
Don't touch him.
Oh, he's 28.
Yeah, he's spoiled goods. He's not good.
Yeah,
he's 28. He's got a year left on his deal. He doesn't want to be there. And Spurs are in for him. Well, actually, it's a bit interesting. He's out of contract in the summer, but Brighton have a 1-year extension that they can exercise. So he's basically got 18 months left, but everybody's looking at him being out of contract. But as soon as a club comes in for him or they hear that he's trying to negotiate with someone, Brighton will just go, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to activate this year. Fuck you. A bit like we did with Rosicky when he started talking to Villa. Remember that?
No.
And we said, we don't want you to go to Villa, so we're just going to exercise your 1 year. Don't be an idiot. And then Villa got relegated under Tim Sherwood.
Captain Tim!
Formerly knows has mentioned, and I think someone else also asked me as well about Hans Hummer asked me as well about the player that we should buy. We should have got him last summer. It's fine. Yes, it is Alexis McAllister. He is the Xhaka replacement. End of. I haven't met him yet though. In the gym, I have met Casado. I'm hoping for that special day.
Did you meet him? Chris. Oh, hello. She's nice. It's not Chris. Well, Hantumi, where's that name from? I've seen you before. Whereabouts in the world are you? Let us know.
He's all day. I don't actually know. So he
make it up. We don't do pronouns here. It.
Josh,
no,
I've got a question for you. Do you think we should be really trying to bring some of these transfers that we were planning to do in the summer, bring them forward to now, even if we pay a slight premium, because we're a little bit ahead and we've got a good chance of winning the league this year. 5 points clear now. If we talk about showing ambition, and that's normally just spend money, but to spend it now, to try and go for it now, seems like showing a lot of ambition. I'm surprised we haven't already got this Mudryk thing done and I'd be looking at getting probably 3 in. If I could, if I was there, I'd be, on the phone to the Cronkies and saying, look, let's just get them done now, because, Man City are not going to have another poor season. They're going to spend stupid money. Chelsea usually do. Newcastle, if they somehow fluke top 4 ahead of schedule, and they see they're in the Champions League, they're going to spend stupid money as well, aren't they? So we might not, even if we keep this squad together for another couple of years, we might not get a chance as good as this, are we?
I would see us doing probably 2 transfers at most.
We're talking first teamers, not like 17-year-olds that are never going to play.
First teamers, and the only one that I would think is trying to bring forward would be whoever we think would be cover for Granit Xhaka. That's the main one. And if that is Yuri Tielemans, then it's Yuri Tielemans.
Is he still out of contract in the summer, or did he
Yes.
sign an extension?
No, the one that signed an extension was
the Villa
Douglas
one.
Luiz.
Douglas
Luiz
Villa.
signed. Yeah, he
So,
signed an extension.
If he's out of contract, is going to go for
Yeah.
nothing. Surely, if we chuck
Don't
5-6
really.
million at Leicester,
no, I don't. That's the
Paid on
problem.
30.
Leicester still
Well, they're
want
not gonna
either
hit it, are
stupid
they?
money or
so that could be a last day of the transfer window thing,
exactly.
then basically. Because
that's one of we'll just sit there and we'll just go. We'll see what happens. And I think the same for Modric. We've got to remember that Shakhtar have been royally fucked, not just by the Russians, but by UEFA. A load of their players exercised the ability to just terminate their contracts that they brought in to then go and sell. They had 3 or 4 players that were worth good money. The main one was Tete, terminated his contract to go to Lyon, and then Lyon sold him for 15 million. I think Tete was one of them. You've got the guy that is at Fulham, Solomon, the Israeli. He's another one who tried to terminate his contract to get a move. Basically, that's what Shakhtar are doing. That's why Modric's fee is so high. It's because they're trying to get 2 or 3 players' money in for that. It's not just we're paying Modric's fee, we're paying lost revenue. I'm sure Danny is now Googling what has happened to Shakhtar.
I'm just looking.
Yeah.
Ismail went to Lille for free. Bob Black went to, I'm looking outside there. One went on loan. Yeah, there's been about 5 or 6 that have left on a free, and one still hasn't got a club. Wow.
Yeah, there was a loads of players UEFA said, "Oh, you're in a war zone. Yeah, you can terminate your contract." And Shakhtar are like, "Oh, hang on. Yeah, it's a bit annoying, but could we get some money for them maybe? Something back?" And UEFA like, "No, let's just terminate their contract."
Where does Modric actually play though?
Ukraine.
Wherever he fucking wants.
You know what I mean.
No,
Josh,
I did. He's a winger.
So have we not?
He's right-footed, but plays on the left.
Yeah, it's Martinelli. It's Martinelli backup. That's it. We've got backup for Saka already in terms of Vieira. Vieira also covers the middle for Odegaard. I suppose Marquinhos depends on where we feel he's at. He might go out on the loan. But yeah, Modric will be that position we don't have covered at the moment. Oh, I've got Smith Rowe's back as well. But I think really you want another option.
Arteta does love a player, like I do in Football Manager. If I have a player, I want him to play in more than one position, and then you don't need a dozen. You can save yourself half a dozen players. But on other Arsenal news, we have got some Arsenal loanee move. Nice are currently spanking Montpellier 6-1. Pepe scored 2, and Ramsey got an assist, and Ross Barkley scored 2 in 3 minutes. So Pepe has now scored 6 goals in 12 starts and 2 subs for Nice, just as Nice sacked their manager the other day.
I'm waiting for Chelsea to be linked with Pepe after seeing how well he's doing.
Nice are 12th in the league. Wow.
They're doing shit.
Do you think he's coming back, Pepe, or is he staying over there?
Coming back to get his clear out his locker, hopefully. If we get 20 million for him, it'll be a fucking miracle.
Yeah. He's gone. Who else has moved from... is Nuno... How many goals has Nuno got now? 18 in the Farmers League? Balogun is...
like I always try and balance this out. They're going all the goals that Nuno and Balogun are scoring. Kolasinac playing left wing back scored 2 goals in 2 games back to back, and he was man of the match in one of them games. So
I suppose we've also said on the other hand, Pepe scored 10 goals this season as well.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the top goal scoring table. Balogun's got 10.
Balogun's third joint, isn't he? Or he was.
Yes, Mbappe is on 13, Neymar 11, who only turns up for the home games, and then there's 4 players on 10.
Yeah.
But it says here that Balogun has scored 21% of his club's goals. No, 48%. 48%. They've only scored 21 goals, and he scored 10 of them. Wow.
I was going to say.
I was looking at the wrong bit. It was 2 numbers, and when there's more than one number, Danny gets confused.
Do you think we're not going to go in for a striker?
No.
Would you? I know maybe Arteta's saying Eddie this and Eddie that, but
I wouldn't go in for a striker.
Why
no
not?
Point. There's no point really. In terms of the strikers that would be available at this time of year. I mean, I suppose there is. The one that is being touted as moving to Man United is one that I would have snapped up in the summer.
You're right with that one
sorry,
as well,
before he went
you?
to Burnley. What, Weghorst?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
I
were telling
love
us to sign
Weghorst.
him.
Yeah.
How much is he
Big
going
old lump.
to Man United for?
3 million because they're getting him on loan from Burnley.
Oh, because Burnley had loaned him out to a Turkish side or something, haven't they?
Burnley have loaned him out to Besiktas. Besiktas
Yeah.
has said, yeah, we wanted to get rid of one of our loan players. We weren't talking about that one. We were talking about Dele Alli.
My God. What a
yeah.
career.
I know, right? And who else? Yeah, I just don't think January is the right time to be going after a striker. Let's put it this way. We went after a striker last January and tried to get Vihalovic.
Yeah.
That didn't work. But if you told me you could have got Vihalovic in the summer and you wouldn't have got Vihalovic in January and we wouldn't have got Gabriel Jesus in the summer, I'd have said, wait for Jesus. Wait for the summer.
We've got to think about, if we get a striker now, then when Eddie and Jesus are both fully fit, we're going to have a player that is going to be unhappy because he's not going to play.
Yeah, I'm not talking going out spending 70, 80 million on him. So is there not like a 31, 32-year-old who has Premier League experience playing somewhere in Europe that would be happy to just come in for 6 months, either on loan?
That is always
it's got to be
scenario.
someone.
That's just not the Arsenal way anymore, is it? We tried that. We had a Aubameyang.
Not the Arsenal way is not winning the league since 2004. Maybe we should try it.
Well, we tried that with getting in young players. Didn't work. We tried young, unproven players. We then went and decided to buy mercenaries. So we got Kolasinac, Mustafi, Ozil, Pepe. I could probably keep going through a lot of names of mercenaries we've got. And now we're buying proven young players. Look at the number of games that they've played when we've signed them. Saliba, when we signed him, had only played 1 season. We then sent him out on loan to make sure he clocked up about 100 career appearances. Same for Ben White, had over 100 career appearances. Saka's got over 100 career appearances in him. When we're now bringing in those players, despite them being young, they've got a lot of minutes under their belt. They played football enough that they're not going to be liabilities. Mudryk and probably Vieira are the only 2 risks we're taking on young players. Same with Lokonga. And they have all been of, we've got good depth in those positions already, so we can take a risk on that. We haven't been out and we haven't bought a centre-back who hasn't played a lot of minutes. We haven't done that and put them straight into the first team. We've only risked in positions that we've got depth. So we say about Lokonga, when he came in, we had Elneny, we had Xhaka, and we had Partey because we were playing with that 2 in midfield. Now that we play with 1, it's slightly different, and Xhaka's role's changed. And I think we see that it's the wing is the place where we need to bring in that depth, and I'd rather we bring in a young player. And I think the Cronkies or Kessie will back us more for a young player on low wages, high transfer fee, compared to low transfer fee, high wage bill. Because you know what will happen? That player will want 2 years.
Then we
and
can't
we'll just
get
have
rid
to
of
extend. Yeah, then we can't get rid of them. They'll just stink up the joint, and we'll end up having to do that problem that Edu's been doing for years and going, no one wants any of our players. I'm just going to have to. Yeah, I'm just going to have to terminate.
I see what you mean. Because like in my ideal world, we'd have them for like 5 months, then ship them out. Like, I mean, I remember United got what was it, Larson on loan from Barcelona 1 season. Sort of helped them score. It's just, I mean, I heard they said that
that is.
Yeah, they said Jesus is gonna be back. From what I heard, very early February. So if it's like a week into February, he's back on the bench. I'm like, all right, fair enough. Because even if we sign someone now, he's going to, he's only going to play 3 games. So, it's not worth signing someone for 3 games. But if we get to end of March and he's still not around, and Eddie's gone on like a 10 games, run without scoring, we're basically blown a chance of winning the Premiership, haven't we?
And plus, Eddie does look like he's a little bit fragile when it comes to his self-belief. This is the time when Eddie, like last season, he can make a name for himself, and he seems to be doing it. 4 goals in 5 games, and that could ruin him as a person. And we don't want to see that, do we?
Oh, I want him to prove me wrong. I want him to prove everyone wrong. I want him to go on and score 10, 11 goals from now until the end of the season. I like to be proven wrong. And I want him to do well. It's just, I know it's a bit mean, but, he's got Henry's shirt number on his back. That is the level you probably need to win the league. I know it's a bit harsh comparing him to probably one of our best players ever. But back then, we had Henry and Bergkamp. As backup, we had Wiltord and Kanu. Is he really as good as those two?
But he doesn't need to be as well. If you look at our goal scoring charts, if Danny could quickly get it to prove the numbers aren't I'm not making these up, if you can get them quickly, but Nketiah's on 7 goals this season, the same as Odegaard's on 7, Saka's on 7, and Martinelli's on 7. We don't need another striker to score goals. I think Stan, the manager's come in and said that was when we played 2 up front as well. If someone could do a quick Google, when was the last team to win the league that had 4 strikers in their squad? And I'll put it this way: it wasn't Liverpool or City.
We've got 4 players on 7
Guardiola.
goals.
Yeah,
Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, and Eddie have got 7. Jesus has got 5, and Xhaka's got 4.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that. Smith Rowe, he's got goals in him. I'm hoping he finds his scoring boots really quickly, because we're going to need those goals. Martinelli's goals seem to have dried up a bit, but I'm hoping he's just going to play him through that bit of patchy form, and then they'll come back. It's just I don't like leaving it all on as a striker, as Eddie, just to score the goals. Jesus isn't exactly prolific either, is he?
No,
but he brings a lot more. He does.
Yeah,
I know, but that's what I'm saying. He brings others in. I don't think Eddie brings others in. You've got to say, if we start the season and we said Eddie's going to be our number 1 for the whole season up front, would you be happy?
Oh no, but he isn't.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what we, there's.
Just because he's got the number 14 on his back doesn't mean that he's a star striker. We had Dale Walcott.
You would want someone. Thing is, though, with City, I don't even know who their second choice to Haaland is.
It's Alvarez, because he's played tonight. That's their second choice as a striker, or it's Foden as no striker at all. They won the league last year without a striker, and they won the league before that without a striker.
And he's our striker.
But Jesus played on the wing. He wasn't their striker. They didn't play centrally for them. And he barely got game time as well.
Would you say Haaland or Alvarez is the same drop-off as Jesus to Eddie?
Probably not. Alvarez has got a World Cup to his name now.
Exactly.
Even go. But it's not just about those players. The one thing that you've highlighted, though, is that the place where the goals have dried up is not striker. It's left wing. And we're after a left winger. And I think that's the thing that we've seen in the last couple of weeks since the World Cup. It's not necessarily that Martinelli's goals have dried up. He just looks a bit jaded right now. And that could be solved by the fact that Reece Nelson's had his injury and we've not been able to rotate him out. He's just had to come straight in. So I think it's more about trying to find that balance and making sure what we bring in, I think right now, is making sure we've got cover to keep those 4 that are our top goal scorers fresh, because those are the guys that bring the majority of our goals in. I think Phil Mack has gone with Blackburn. I think, tongue in cheek, the last one is probably the Invincibles is the last team I think that had 4 strikers, because I don't think Chelsea did when they won the league straight after.
That looked 15 strikers.
Well, that's the one that, depends if you count Mutu, right?
Mutu, Crespo, Shevchenko, what was it, Drogba.
But they were never all there at the same time, were they?
Chris Sutton.
Yeah, I think they had 8 strikers. Only
Maybe.
because I think about a season. I think the second Mourinho season is that when they started bringing in the squad rule, didn't they? Because they had like 60 players on the books. So
Probably.
I know it's different
yeah.
times. I'm just saying.
But yeah, I think
we're hoping Smith Rowe scores goals and Martinelli can start scoring again. And if we get this Modric over the line, he scores. That's just I'd hate it if that didn't happen. I would, you know, that's just me. I would like to get a striker in just to help. But if it's not possible, then, you know, it's what it is.
I think certainly a creator. Yeah. I agree. I agree that we need something. Another creator. That's the main thing we need. It's not necessarily scoring goals. It's the problem. It's creating the chances. That's what we saw against Newcastle. Scoring goals wasn't the problem. We couldn't get the ball to our striker. We know Eddie will score goals if you give him chances. That's what we missed. We missed somebody that could come on and was trusted. I think the thing is they're trusted by Arteta. He doesn't like to make subs, does he? Poor Arteta when it's a tough game.
I don't know if he's doing that to make a statement. Like I said, why was the point in bringing on 15-year-old Manweri? And then he's never been on the bench since, I don't think. What
he's got his GCSEs, isn't he? He's got his GCSEs to do.
Yeah, but why do that? And why just how many times have we? I haven't looked, but that'd be interesting to see how many times this season out of the 5 subs you're allowed to use. How many is Arteta actually? Are we allowed 5 to use 5 now?
Yeah, it's 5 subs.
Irregular. How many times has he ever used 5?
When we're struggling in a game, he very rarely makes a change. That's what I have noticed.
Josh?
It's a very Wenger thing to do.
Is it something I've completely made up? Is it you can use 5 subs, but you can only still use them in blocks of 3?
Yes,
up to 3 substitutions.
Yes, so you'd have to use like 1 sub on their own if you want to use all of them, a 2 and a 2 sort of thing.
Or you could do a 1-1
and
like
3. It's like what we did with Xhaka. Yeah. Xhaka and Zinchenko come on, and then you just make the iterative changes.
It's a stupid rule.
Danny, should we go to questions?
Yeah, I think we've only got a couple. Stan's given you a bit of a stink face in there. He said Martinelli's goals drying up was a bit of a sweeping statement with no bias. My good, look, he's having a sweep.
Basis.
But what did I say?
Bias.
Bias? No, basis. That's what he says.
You barely know what that word is.
I can't even. I don't know. I'm high on Pringles. I don't even know where I am.
No, we've noticed. You've been crunching
away. Can you qualify
away.
Your statement with it?
Well, I think it was Nick's statement, but
was it?
Yeah.
Oh God, I'll leave that then. Don't want to get Nick angry. He's already put Phil on the timeout.
Yeah.
Right. I've got 2 questions. First, Josh, why wasn't Trossard on anyone's radar before this season? Is it a case or a contract year to prove himself? Make of that what you will. Either I'm not reading that properly or it doesn't scan.
I don't think it scans, but
fuck for that.
Why wasn't Trossard on anyone's radar? It's because everyone thought he had 6 months left on his contract when he doesn't. He has 18 months left. The other thing is, okay, go back to, if anyone remembers listening to the Football Ramble when it was good. So it was just when there was the 4 of them. And Pete used to say about Moussa Sissoko that he only turned up for Newcastle when they were on telly. He was shit every other time. But when Newcastle were on telly, Sissoko would turn up. Trossard's the same when he's against a team that allows Brighton to play. So look at who he scored his goals against. We're talking Spurs. Well, Spurs just shit. But Liverpool's the player who got his hat-trick. He was playing up against Alexander-Arnold, and I think it was Joe Gomez at the back. Basically, if you give him time and space, he's going to score goals. He'll be a good player. Do you see him up against a defence that isn't going to let Brighton play? He's going to be quite rigid. They're not out to win the game necessarily. Struggles completely. And that's what Arsenal see week in, week out. Is we've seen it. We saw it against Newcastle. We see it every single week. We've got to break the other team down. Trossard isn't a winger that breaks teams down. He's the guy for Belgium that comes on when they're playing Andorra, when they're 5-0 up and he scores 3 other goals. Again, scored against Man U. It's a team. The teams he scores against, the ones that give you space, the ones that are expected to beat Brighton. That's the teams he scores against. not the teams that basically have scored its top six. But we'd see very different games of that. And I think we'd all be agreed that we'd rather see Martinelli play that place rather than a 28-year-old.
That's
I
not
think
Arteta's way, is it?
No, it's not. And Trossard isn't a player that where he's getting linked to is the right level for him, as in a 10th place Chelsea or Spurs. Happily take the money from Spurs for him. He hasn't looked bothered for Brighton for quite a while now. And he just doesn't look... He's never been that player that we should really want, I think, at Arsenal. It's too old. But yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's quite comprehensive, I suppose. Next question is from Nick from Phil, and it's going to be nice this time. Did you guys hear about the resurrection of the Super League? I've heard that it's going to come back eventually. They're going to keep trying because it's all that lovely money. Do you know anything, Nick? Are you in favour of it?
Kind of. Not how they're doing it. Basically, this. When you look at the money the Champions League generates and compared to how much prize money they actually divvy out, they're ripping the piss. I mean, what were I think they said it last year. Or was it season? What was like something like £3.6 billion profit they make, and they're divvying up about 500-600 million in prize money. So they're saying, well, if there's that much money available, where's like the 3 billion to the 3.6 billion in prize? Where's that going? So they're seeing there's a lot more money available, and where's it's going? Probably, in the organisers' back pockets and things like that. So this is just basically them threatening to quit unless they get a bit more money. Because when that kicked off that was the summer when it really kicked off. They actually cancelled 12 or the next day after they agreed to give all the clubs more prize money. What they agreed to. So it's basically they're threatening to quit if they don't get more money for the Champions League. And I remember the Monday they said, yep, we'll give you the extra money you want for prize money. And then they all pulled out. They don't actually want to do it. They're just using it, kind of like the train drivers trying to go on strike to get more money. It's just what they're doing. And they'll do it again. And to be honest, rightfully so. I mean, why do they need to make £3 billion a year profit from football? Where's that going? You're not going in at grassroots, is it?
Oh, those greedy bastards want to keep it all for themselves.
Yeah.
Josh, you got a couple of words on that because we've got 3 quick questions after.
I would want to make sure that we're in. I'd rather be in it than out of it. But yeah, it sounds like it's more about Barcelona need to pull another lever, and Juventus probably going bankrupt for their accounts not being in order.
Calciopoli version 3.0.
Mm-hmm.
I see people playing FM on Twitch, and then I see them in the Europa League, and they're in a division with 36 teams. There's a league table of 36 teams, and I don't know how many you play away and how many you play at home, but the new format of the Champions League and Europa League and all the other ones looks an absolute fucking disaster. And they've made it worse to make more money. Should just go back to the home and away knockout and with no seeded teams. That's the way football should be. Question for you, Josh, from Demsec. Why should we go for Declan Rice in the summer?
Ooh. I'm not sure if we should.
I hate him.
He's a confusing player for me. I don't think he's good enough to... Well, depends on what we're doing with Thomas Partey. That, I think, is the question. I think Declan Rice is a good player to be that kind of number 6 for us. Do I think he's good enough to do the Granit Xhaka role? I'm not convinced. And for the money that you'd need for Declan Rice, there's other options out there.
They're going to want at least 80 million, aren't they?
They'll want at least 80 to 100 million. And if they want 80 to 100 million, the smartest thing to do is to turn up at Dortmund's store and say, hey, Jude. That's it. You're going up there. If you're going to 80, exactly. If you go for 80 million, 100 million, stretch it to 120, you get Jude Bellingham. and that's the player you want to replace Xhaka.
And Xhaka, if you can go back to Germany as part of the deal.
Oh, I mean, the correct response is that McAllister is the player we get. But yeah, I think Declan Rice is be interesting if we could get him. But I still think he'll go for big money.
Probably Chelsea.
Despite Chelsea's the logical sense because that's where he was at before. But he did say he wants to play Champions League football.
And Chelsea are going nowhere but down.
Yeah.
Two quick one here from Jackosaurus TV on Twitch, a friend of ours. I follow him on Twitter. Very nice Irish bloke. Currently buffing himself up for a summer of love. Always doing workouts and posting his workouts on Twitter. He says, should Lokonga be sold this season? I'm not sure he's capable of being a long-term replacement for Partey. So yes or no, Nick?
From what we've seen, he's not even the same type of player as Partey, to be honest. I don't know if you can replace him as a like for like, but from the 18 months he's been here, no, he's not good enough to replace Partey. Like if we said at the start of next season, we're going to sell Partey and he's going to take his squad number and start every game. No, he hasn't shown enough.
Josh?
We could always send him to the Arsenal finishing school in Marseille for a season. I'm not sure about Sambi. I think it's more of a decision, not necessarily just on football. It depends on what he's like behind the scenes as well. I think that's what I'd go down to. I wouldn't say sell purely on his football performances. I think there's still potentially a player in there, but it's the things like attitude and other bits and pieces that would really define whether or not we sell.
Another quick one from Jack Saurus. And one fun one. Do you guys see Norway winning a major international competition in the next 10 years? Haaland and Odegaard could be influential enough. Nick?
No, doubt it. I mean, can you name any other players who play for him?
Breda Hangeland?
I assume that wasn't to me because I could probably name two.
What do you think, Josh? No?
No, I think it's... Well, I say no. Portugal won it with a pretty utilitarian side. I obviously go to Greece as well.
Yeah, Greece fluked something for a few years. Well, probably 20 years.
It's 2004. Yeah, it's 2004 when they won that. There's definitely... I could see them getting to a semi-final, let's put it that way. Probably of the Euros rather than the World Cup. But yeah, Norway definitely punch above their weight. Similar to Croatia. Although, yeah, no, I've got a separate rant on that. We'll hold that one back.
The final question, I'll take this one unless you two have something to say from our very own Stan the Man. Have you heard about doors being knocked on for those illegally stream football? I have no idea what any of this means because I would never do it, but it's all bullshit. It's just a media story to go, look what we're doing. We're going and stopping people from doing it. They don't know what anybody is fucking doing. Anyone, either you two got anything to say on that?
I would say I'd be surprised where they'd know where to go because I'm pretty sure most people, if they do it, would do it via a VPN.
NordVPN. Use the code word ABW and get 110% off. Try it. They pay you. Nick?
They wouldn't have a problem if they just didn't rip people off for TV subscriptions and expect you to have, Sky Sports, BT Sports, and... What was it? There's
Amazon.
Another one for Amazon
now.
Yeah, there's just so many people.
Game,
and they're just ripping people off left and right. They're ripping people off to watch it at home. They're ripping people off for prices at the stadiums, and they're moaning why people are stealing that. And that's just tough shit. And the ISPs, I mean, they started this a few years ago, where they would actually send you emails or letters because they are monitoring you. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're still monitoring you somehow with a VPN, or at least they know you're using a VPN. And they started sending letters. I remember Virgin Media did it a while back, and they were like, "Oh, you doing this? You're downloading this film. We're gonna cut off your internet if you do that." And I phoned them up. I said, "Do it then. I won't fucking pay you. I'll go with someone else." And they went, "Well, that backfired," because I did. So, but yeah, just stop ripping people off. People ain't got no money. Leave them alone.
To be fair, Nick, we heard about what films you're trying to download, and you should have been struck off.
I wanted to watch Hancock starring Will Smith. There was a cock in it. Like,
Oh dear, Josh, save us. It's time to go home.
Is it? Finally. 2 hours have passed. Dear listener, if you're still with us, I can only apologise. There'll be a number at the end where you can phone for some form of therapy.
It's John's number.
But yeah, it's certainly some kind of therapy.
You're going to come round and shag your mother. That'll cheer you up.
Yeah, he will bring a shovel if needed. Right. On to more sensible things. I'd like to say thank you to everybody who has listened through this. I'm not going to necessarily thank all of our guests. One of them has to be here. The other one is Nick. I want to say thank you, Nick, for being here. You didn't have to be here. You really didn't. I think we should actually applaud more people for leaving midway through a pod. But I'm surprised you got here and lasted.
Well, thanks. I think thanks. Was that a compliment or an insult?
Unravel that fucker.
Yeah, it's mostly compliment that
cool.
you stuck around for so long with this nonsense going on. And DCI Sweetman, you've been promoted from a PI to a DCI. I think it's a promotion. I don't know. It's more letters anyway.
Well, I'm trading in the Sharan. I'm getting a 308 GTB Ferrari, and I'm off to Hawaii.
Yeah, you've got a little light that you put on your shoulder when you're when you're in your wheelchair. You just pop it on there, and that's when you know he's in a chase.
I always said if I'm going to go to fancy dress, I'd go as an ice cream van and hand out choc ices.
It's
from my
good
bottom.
option. Well, maybe not.
Well, thanks for hosting, Josh. You did very good,
you.
considering it's been on in 6 months.
8 months, 2 years, something like that. It feels a while. I feel like one of those people now that, you know, I felt like I've moved into the new stage of ABW podcaster where I was on really regularly, pretty often, and now I've moved into the kind of Fife Collins, the Fife Collins
Jeff
kind
Arsenal.
of group, Jeff Arsenal, but without the prestige and
all the respect.
All the respect. Yeah, Shredder, Jeff Hollandford, that kind of. I feel like I'm in that elite group, but just not the elite one from there.
The ones who have fucked off and left us in them with the likes of bloody Carpenter and John to rely on turning up. Yeah, if it wasn't for Carl and Femi, we'd be knackered. They're the ones who talk sense anymore.
I was going to say, I did have a think before I came on that I think the only people I've met from ABW don't podcast anymore, other than Carl. So I am maybe the Black Widow of ABW. Don't meet me. Or it's more likely that Danny fell out with you. Another one got a baby. Another one's having a baby, and one of them died. That is that's probably the other excuses for it. Anyway,
I've only fallen out with 3 of them.
Yeah, and I've met most of them. You've fallen out with. Well, at least a third.
Yes.
Yeah. And they only had nice things to say about you, Danny.
I bet he did. I've got PTSD Welsh version. For what? I thought I saw something behind me. Hey, you boy! What?
He's there. It's coming out that
red
picture.
eyes lighting up in my bedroom behind me.
Yeah, it's like a T1000. Right. I was waiting for you to turn off the podcast, but you just kept us going now. I don't know what else to say.
Well, pick an outro. Steve and Dave or Anfield 89.
I would like Steve and Dave, please.
Okie dokie. Right. You close the show and I'll press the button.
Well, yeah, I'd like to, again, I think I have to thank you to everybody. We don't do shout outs anymore. I would say thank you, Ellis, for all of your work. I know you can't afford to strike, but we'll strike for you. I'll refuse to go to A&E. And Danny has promised to not mention his body problems for at least an hour and a half.
True.
Done.
As soon as I scored that goal, I was fucking livid. Get down, dog. Splendid business.
He nearly caught the bloody thing. What are you talking about?
So I've just eaten a full quiche. Well, you don't often see them at Ibs, so when you see them in the supermarket, they need to be swagged, microwaved immediately, and get the brown sauce on them, and bosh, Bob's your uncle.
Never